So please stand if you can, and with your hearts and with your body as you can. For the gospel reading today is Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 through 23. Now after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night and went to Egypt and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had learned from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more. When Herod died, an angel of the Lord suddenly appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the child's life are now dead." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And after being warned in a dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. There he made his home in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He will be called a Nazarene. The Gospel of the Lord.
Throughout Matthew's Gospel, Joseph is depicted as a man who dreams and responds to his dreams. It's no accident, I suppose, that Joseph, Mary's husband, has the same name as the ancient Joseph, whose dreams first got him in trouble and then saved him, his entire family, as well as the Egyptian people. Just so, Joseph, Mary's husband, by attending to his dreams, follows the will of God to save not only the baby, but the whole promise of Emmanuel, God with us, for both Jews and Gentiles. We might say of someone who listens to dreams that he's a crackpot or a fool, especially when we do the sorts of things that Joseph did. He left a good job, a family connections, a community, to run off with a pregnant girl, to deliver a baby in a stable, and then run off to a foreign country where he probably didn't even speak the language, and then go to a small town of no consequence where he cared for a child that was not his own into his old age. Over the years, I've run across Joseph many times. The old man who raises a grandchild, the young man who attends the birth of a child not his and then adopts the child with love and care, or the man who takes on a whole family of kids when he marries or moves in with a single mom, or the man who gives up a career or a solid job to move his family to a climate better suited to his child's health condition or his wife's employment. But the spirit of Joseph resides in women too, the woman who raises her husband's children with love and grace in the face of childish and adolescent rebellion, the woman who gives up her career to make way for her husband's work, the military wife, and the folks who take on the needs of elderly relatives and even those who are not related to care for them in old age. These are folks who have the spirit of Joseph. Yet there is this other aspect of Joseph, this attentiveness to the dreams of God. All of us are invited to discover this blessing and the sacrifices that come with it. Of course, psychologists explain to us that dreams are predominantly just us processing unprocessed material in our lives, that what we dream is pretty much all of our stuff, right? If I dream about a house, I'm the house. If I dream about, something big and scary, I'm probably that, as well as the scared person. They do a lot with psychology and the study of dreams and dream work. It's an excellent way to help process challenging parts of our own experience. And that's good. But there are different dreams from that. There is another sort of dream that's not about processing our inner stuff. It's dreams that have a source beyond our consciousness. Are you aware of such experiences? Some of you may have experienced a thing called a plasma ball. They were popular maybe 20, 30 years ago. And plasma balls had a charge of electricity that went through some gases. And so you'd see the kind of lightning running inside the ball. And when you moved your fingers around on the glass, the electricity would follow your finger. That's just physics. But I think it helps me to grasp how God works with us. And how when we're paying attention, that God somehow communicates to us and draws our thoughts to a place that we hadn't thought to go, and draws our thoughts to something different than what we might have come up with on our own. I'm not saying we're all a bunch of plasma ball heads, although I've been accused of being just filled with gas, So, but these experiences of God, they occur to us. It's something you sense is more than just an ordinary dream. It's not, as Ebenezer Scrooge says, just a bit too much mustard at dinner that has upset one's stomach. There's something happening that connects us with the transcendent. I believe we all have events in our lives that connect us to the transcendent, but we don't pay attention to them because, they're just not that strong. They're not like being smacked up the side of the face by some immediate new event. But Joseph did pay attention, and we can experience the presence of God in our dreams and in quiet moments when we let go of controlling our minds and allow the hand of God to somehow touch us. As often as not, these ideas that come to us from God are a bit unlike what we would otherwise think on our own. And more to the point, they often ask us to sacrifice our pride, our arrogance, our belief in self-control and wisdom, and our comfort. Often the ideas of God ask us to take steps of mercy and justice and love and gentleness and humility and peace, to do things which are not directly for us. Doesn't feed old number one, but helps another. You may get a strange idea to act with deep compassion for a person who is otherwise pretty irritating and annoying. We know those people. You might get a message that you should do something that is inconvenient or uncomfortable or inconsistent with firmly held ideals. You might find that you're called to practice love to those whom you might otherwise reject and spurn. You might be asked to go out of your way for someone when it's not easy to do so. I would venture to guess that many of us have yielded to these urges over the years. And sometimes we berate ourselves for doing so, and at the others. But we discover great peace, joy, and love in following the call of God, even when we do not name it as such. So in the year ahead, could we pay more attention to these touches from God? Could we allow God to guide us beyond ourselves, to transcend our selfish interests, our ideas about who we are? Could we let God draw us into acts of love and compassion to other persons, even if they're pretty darn irritating? Could we take risks, make sacrifices for those whom we would otherwise ignore? So let us this year pay attention to risk going where we would not, to carry out the work of God, to care for others, and indeed for our planet in ways that may be challenging to our sensibilities and opinions. But in doing so, God's will is done, and often in ways we cannot see at the time. Let us join old Joseph in caring for the baby Jesus in all the unusual places that God shows up and bids us travel. Amen.